To enter upon the marriage union is one of the most deeply important events of life. It cannot be too prayerfully treated. Our happiness, our usefulness, our living for God or for ourselves afterward are often most intimately connected with our choice of a spouse. Therefore, in the most prayerful manner this choice should be made. Neither beauty nor age, nor money, nor mental powers should be that which prompts the decision. But first, much waiting upon God for guidance should be used. Second, a hearty purpose to be willing to be guided by Him should be aimed after. Third, true godliness without a shadow of doubt should be the first and absolutely needful qualification to a Christian with regard to a companion for life.
How do people fall in love? And maybe just as importantly, how do people fall out of love? Well, it's not magic, but there is a secret to it, and we want to tell you about that secret in this episode of Relationship Radio. Hi, I'm Dr. Joe Beam, along with Kimberly Holmes, our CEO. So Kimberly, when people talk about falling in and out of love, I remember doing a workshop in Corona, California, many years ago, when a particular lady who was in the workshop, she was an architect. When I explained the process of how people fall in love and out of love, she actually began to weep, and I asked her what I had done to offend her. And she said, I thought what I had with my lover, she was there with her husband, I thought what I had with my lover was something magic and special. And you just taught me that basically it's like architecture. If you do certain things occur. And it shocked her to her core.
Yeah, and that's part of what makes what we've done in our research and our experience with couples unique is we realize that there is a process that people can follow, that if they follow it, they will fall in love. But if they stop following that process, then they can fall out of love even if they don't mean to. And that's where many married couples end up. They stop following that process somewhere along the line after a couple of years or more of marriage and wake up one day and say, I don't feel in love with this person anymore. But we can teach you how to fall back in love.
As a matter of fact, I see these programs advertised on television like Married at First Sight and things like that. Never seen it. I just seen the title. And I'm thinking, they're talking to the wrong people. Because we can actually show them the process that any two people, if they both follow the process, will fall in love with each other, whether they want to or not. But as we learn the process, if they start doing it backwards, with what you're talking about a minute ago, then they fall out of love. And most people never understood the process they went through to get in love. Therefore, they don't understand what they're doing in the process to fall out of love.
Right.
So first, let's just define love very quickly.
Yeah. Let's define love scientifically, right? Because I think if we were to define it or try to define it based on what people feel, then people would say, if we were to do like the Jay Leno thing where you go on the streets of New York City and say, what does it mean to be in love? I think a lot of people would say, well, it feels like the butterflies in your stomach. It feels like wanting to be with the other person. It feels like deep trust. But if we look at the scientific words used to describe love, according to the research, it's really three components. It is intimacy, which is a deep friendship and intimacy with each other.
So openness, transparency, trust.
Like being with your best friend. And then there's passion, which is the second component, which is a yearning for oneness. Could be sexual, but doesn't have to be.
Right.
And the third one is commitment. And commitment is the decision to continue doing what's best for the relationship.
A decision that you will definitely do that.
Isn't this just fantastic? I've had people tell me that the person they really loved in a relationship told them, well, I woke up this morning or whenever it happened and I don't love you anymore. I just don't love you anymore. And the tears are streaming down the people's faces and they were loved and they're not loved anymore. The spark's gone, the feeling's gone. Thank God that it doesn't have to be a spark and a feeling, that we can commit to people and that love is an action. Love wants the best for the other person, not the next best, more attractive option in the nightclub or the bar, but the best for the other person. So listen what love is. Fascinating. A close friendship. Then intimacy. It can be sexual or it doesn't have to be sexual. You want to be close with someone. You want to hold their hand. You love hugging them, cuddling them. And third, You want the best for the other person. It is not love if the person leads you down the drain in the devil's things of sexual immorality, substance abuse, swearing. Neither are those friends that lead you down that path loving you. They are hating you.
Now, those things do result in emotions. If you had just one of them, like just commitment, you might not have much emotion. But if you do the three of those, you get a kind of love that's referred to as consummate love. So if people fall in love with another person, the first thing that has to happen is they have to have some kind of contact with that person.
That would help. Yeah.
And it used to be, it had to be face-to-face, but now we have electronics and the media and the internet. And so now you can actually fall in love with a person that you have never seen, but it's still all part of the same first step because of the fact that the first step we call attraction is not just about appearance. There are 4 factors, correct?
Yeah, there's 4 factors. So there is the physical factor, which is more of the appearance factor. But then there's an intellectual factor. And this one has to do with, is this someone that I can understand, that we communicate well, that we have a similar shared desire of things to talk about and interest in life?
So the first one's intellectual, obviously. I mean, a person can appreciate if someone looks after their body and their looks and is fit, and but that's very animalistic. I mean, if you're picking a racehorse, that would be the primary thing you do. But with picking a spouse, obviously finding their conversation fascinating, how they think, what you talk about, rich conversations can be one of the most attractive things. So the first one's intellectual attraction. So you cannot date or court someone that you have absolutely no deep level of connecting in intimacy in conversations. Really where someone stirs your soul with their words and with their ideas. Where someone just dates someone who is very attractive on the outside or charming, even charm, like the Bible says, beauty is passing and charm's deceitful. That falls into a close category next to prostitution, because how do people pick a prostitute? By their looks. Even if you marry someone that you mostly only find attractive physically and there is no deep intellectual link, you are fairly close to prostitution within a marriage. Now, you can't have prostitution within a marriage because you obviously married the person. But if you think of the worst types of Christian marriages and the best types of Christian marriages, the worst type obviously are those who just picked each other for beauty and charm. That's very close to prostitution within a marriage. Because what is prostitution? Picking someone for looks and also getting resources from that person. So if in marriage you picked someone for looks and charm, and then they're wealthy or they got a whole lot of other resources, that's pretty close to prostitution within marriage, of the worst types of marriages. People that picked each other for deep connection and great intellectual joy, because that also develops people, your spouse. So very interesting. The first one is pick someone on intellectual connection.
And that's probably where a lot of people, when they meet online without seeing the other person, that's what they are being attracted to at first. They're attracted to the intellect of the other person.
They can talk about something and both feel that they're understanding each other and being understood. But then what happens after that is still part of this.
Emotional attraction. So we've done physical, intellectual, now it's emotional attraction. And this is about evoking emotions within the other person that they enjoy feeling. And this one is really key, especially for a long-term relationship, because if you don't have that evoking, if you don't like the way you feel when you're around someone else, you're not going to want to be around them for very long.
That's correct.
So this is amazing. Emotional attraction, the emotions that the relationship brings up in you, is extremely important. When you hear the person's voice or you see on your phone when they're calling you, how excited you get. Now, for some situations, this can be short-lived. I'll show two situations here. One is a Justin Bieber interaction where hundreds or even thousands of girls see him come out of Starbucks. Obviously, they got a huge amount of emotion when they think or see him. They're even crying afterwards. So this can be very short-lived. And then the second one is where, as a falconer, where we train falcons and eagles, you have something that a very powerful creature that hates you at first because it's terrified of you and also dislikes you at it to extreme level. And then later on in the relationship, it absolutely starts loving you. So how do you degenerate that emotional love, and how do you build up that emotional love? So here we have almost the exact opposite. It's interesting using eagles and falcons as examples because they can also feel hatred or attraction. Here you can see when an eagle comes in that is injured and you have to rehabilitate the eagle and teach it to fly again. Look at the size of this eagle's claws, and unlike Justin Bieber, where the girls love him from the start, these animals are obviously very scared and hate you, because they can't understand what's going on in the traumatic situation they're in. But over time, by doing things, you can develop a deep, deep, deep attraction that they have for you. And unlike a dog or a horse where they are forced to be with you, when flying and training them, they can leave at any stage. So they love you and they come back to you. And how is this built? Obviously, it's important to look how attraction and love is built. Compared to, say, maybe someone who fell in love with Justin Bieber, where if they started dating him, potentially that romance can degenerate and those feelings can degenerate. The first thing is to get someone you actually like and admire. Not just like in conversations or in sort of superficial stuff, but that you like fundamentally, like these two guys, representing commitment to poorer people, philanthropy, building up the weak, caring for the sick, that kind of thing where you really admire someone. Yes, I think those two things, to like someone but also to admire them, are critical in building up emotional attraction. It might be someone always uplifting people, trying to make people better, or a father with their child that gives so much of himself for his children, or someone in their career who's really committed to helping those in need. That can really build your liking of them and your admiration of them. Yes, also critical in building emotional attraction is not just admiring people, but also liking people. When you're with them, you're building memories, you're doing amazing things, you're going to amazing places, things that you both like. Some people like mountain climbing, hiking, some people like sport. It's finding that person that the memories you build with them are far greater than anyone else. In fact, when you with them within a week, you build more memories with them in that week than you build with other people within a year. And remember, this comes on the back of effort. The currency of relationships is effort. Nothing good can happen if people don't do effort in relationships.